Good day. I'm here once again just to school our mind about financial intelligence and real estate investment in Nigeria. And the topic I'm here to discuss with you today has to do with the common mistakes we have to avoid when investing in real estate in Nigeria. Yes, especially in Nigeria. And I want you to go along with me. Just briefly, we'll be discussing it. The first thing is for you to note is you not doing your market research before you go ahead to purchase a property. So for instance, you want to buy land or you want to buy a house. You already have a plan about what you want to buy, how you want to do and what you want to achieve out of it. Do you want to buy a house to live or you want to buy it to rent? How will it fit into your desire? So you need to do your market research about the exact location you want to situate your property. So you do your market research, especially if you also want to put the property on rental. You want to be sure that you are buying in the right place. So doing your market research will help you to avoid some mistakes which some people have made. Number two that you need to do is to avoid not doing your due diligence. Due diligence in the sense that you want to research the property you now eventually have found to buy. You want to be sure if that property is or has cleared everything that could bring about doubt. Is it about the ownership of the property? When we talk about house or land, the ownership is very key. The title on it is very key. Have you done all your market research? Have you involved your real estate professional to do this for you, who would likewise have to engage a lawyer, a property lawyer, and a surveyor, and whatever things that might be needed. So due diligence is very, very important. Don't ever skip due diligence. Number three, you also need to take note of is inspection. Of course, due diligence and inspection are somehow related, but inspection is key. If you are buying a land or a house, there is need for you to inspect, especially when it has to do with what you think you want to hold for a long time. So you don't want to have any issue about it in the future. So if you can't do your inspection on your own, just send a trusted person to do the inspection for you, and of course wait for their reports, which you will analyze with your professional, and then you can go ahead. That's number three. And then number four is for you should not avoid your estimated cost after you bought the property. What do I mean? You are buying a house or you are buying a land. So for a land, for instance, you should try to know all the expenses that are related to owning that property. Do you need to do further title? Do you need to do further documentation? All that you should have ready before you go into this. And for a property, for instance, you're buying a house probably in Banana Island, you bought it. If you had expected, you would have known what you would need, either to touch up to your taste, or if it is a property that is not well maybe structured in terms of construction, you want to know how you want to refurbish or do some form of renovation. So when you inspect, you would have known what all those things ahead, and then you will not be underestimating the cost. And number five, a very important aspect of property buying. One thing you need to really note when you are buying a property is location. Maybe I should have made it number one, but intentionally I made it number five. But you should be aware that location is very key when you are buying a property. Now, depending on what you want to use the property for, is it for commercial use or residential use? So I'll always give example of land or house. Land, for instance, are you buying a landed property to be built almost immediately, or you are buying it for the future? What about a house? Are you buying a house that you want to live? Is it a location you would love to live? Or are you buying a house that you want to put on rental? And whichever one you want to do, note that the better the location, the higher the cost. So when you consider the cost, the location preference, and juxtapose it with the price of the house, then you know how location is important, because the better the location, the higher the value. and the higher the return on investment also for you. I hope you got that. Number 6, this has to do with leveraging. For instance, we have some that the so-called smart investors. So we are all smart investors. But being smart also does not mean we should now take some steps or some decisions that put us at a very high risk. Normally anything investment is also risk, but you have to analyze your risk and see how you can manage your risk. If you can analyze that business plan ahead in terms of investment, you would have reduced your risk to about 20, 10% or 30%. But note that the more or the higher the risk you are taking, the higher the return on investment should be if you are successful with that property. So when you over leverage, it could affect you. Over leverage in what sense? Let me quickly explain this. You want to get a property and you have your own equity, probably 30% of it, and you want to go ahead to borrow against that mortgage. You want to borrow to get money to add to your own equity that you have so that you can buy the property. You don't have to overstress yourself. If you go to a bank, for instance, to get a loan to finance your purchase, if it is too high of a percentage when it compares to your own real cash at hand, it could put you at risk, because if you are not able to fulfill the obligation of paying back the loan on time as agreed based on the terms of the loan, then you are at the risk of either losing the property or losing whatever you put on the line as your collateral. So don't over leverage. If you want to leverage minimally and be very sure that what you are leveraging against, you are sure to be able to get it back one way or the other. So don't over leverage, don't over borrow. Just make sure that you are in a very good condition to finance your property purchase, so that you don't have the risk of losing that property or losing any other asset. I hope we got that. And the last but not the least, the 7th mistake you should avoid when investing in property in Nigeria is you not preparing for the long term in real estate investment. Note that real estate investment is a kind of long-term investment which you should really be aware of and prepare for, because if you don't plan that way, you might end up losing, or over anxiety, or you are too eager to quickly make that returns. Whereas the kind of investment you made is supposed to be a long-term investment, unless you are making some short-term investment where you buy and flip. Of course, that also has its own strategy and it must be well planned out. Not that you just stumble on the property investment and you are now expecting a short-term return on investment on what is supposed to be a long-term investment. So you plan for a long term on property, because assets and property investment especially is a kind of long-term investment. You should have a clear-cut exit strategy when it has to do with real estate investment. So when you mix that with your long-term plan, you are very sure that you are in the right you are on the right path towards building your property portfolio. I hope we got that. So I hope you've gotten all the 7 points I've enlisted here. I hope you've gotten value from this video, and I would want you to note that when you are able to avoid all these mistakes that I have highlighted, you increase your chance of being very successful in real estate, because real estate is not what you just jump into unless you are just buying for fun. But if you want to really buy for return on investment, you are looking at location, you are looking at your inspection, you are looking at your due diligence, you are looking at not over leveraging, you are also looking at other aspects that you need to really be careful of. When you avoid all these mistakes, you increase your chance of being successful in real estate investment, and you would also be able to build a profitable real estate investment for you, which will be a transgenerational asset or transgenerational kind of wealth for you and your family. Thank you and God bless you. Just click on the like button, subscribe, like this video, subscribe and share to your loved one. Thank you, and we appreciate you as you follow us and subscribe to our channel. God bless you. Bye.